A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest J. Gaines has a thread of miscarriage of justice running through the entire novel and is illustrated through the use of the character Jefferson, an African American who was an uneducated young man in a society that was riddled with racial prejudice. During this time, although the African Americans had access to a limited amount of education, many of them did not take advantage of it due to low self-esteem, a sense of inferiority to whites in the same society, racism, and poverty resulting in a miscarriage of justice. Innocent until proven guilty is usually how the justice system views cases, but definitely not in Jefferson's. The court had no evidence whatsoever that Jefferson did commit this murder. As stated, the defense argued that Jefferson was innocent of all charges except being at the wrong place at the wrong time. There was absolutely no proof that there had been a conspiracy between himself and the other two. The fact that Mr. Grope only shot Brother and Bear was proof of Jefferson's innocence. This quote shows the complete injustice toward Jefferson by the jury of 12 white men. In a quote by the judge told Jefferson that he had been found guilty of all charges brought against him, and that the judge saw no reason that he should not pay for the part he played in this horrible crime. Jefferson was with Brother and Bear, two African American men who wanted to buy a bottle of wine from Mr. Grope's shop with no intent of robbing him, but did not have the money to pay for it and asked Mr. Grope if they could possibly pay later. Mr. Grope denied the two men of their request, which would not have been the case if they were of white ethnicity, simply because they were black, an underlying sense of distrust by Mr. Grope, which is the cause used to judge all black men. However, had these two men had been of white ethnicity, the scenario would have been different. Trust is the core of meeting justice, and a significantly missing element here, thereby causing a miscarriage of justice. A defense attorney is someone who a convicted person should place their trust and faith in. Jefferson's defense attorney, on the other hand, showed the readers what a defense attorney should not do by insulting his client, diminishing and dehumanizing him of his little self-esteem he had already had, completely brainwashing him to believe he is an animal instead of a civilized human being. In a quote by the defense attorney, "Why, I would just as soon put a hog in the electric chair as this." The judge in the novel clearly did not know what fairness and equality was, hence his final decision, death by electrocution, which people may argue, especially in the present context, as too harsh a punishment for an accused with no evidence that he himself committed the crime, but just perceptions based on cultural background. The court looked at Jefferson's case with a blind eye and hatred, which had a tinge of racism to a certain extent. There is no forgiveness or tolerance to a false conviction sending a young man to death row with no factual evidence to prove it. In this scene, we are able to witness the oppression and discrimination faced by the black people, since they were forced to work in cotton fields, especially prevalent in the southern states of America. This was in states like Alabama and Mississippi. They were not paid wages, not given adequate working conditions, and suffered political injustice. Applying this novel in today's world with the recent tragedies in America and shows that even after the 1940s when this novel was written, the perception towards black people still has not changed much. A black man stopping on a road to check who was registered for ID, reaching for his wallet to provide the requested proof, auditing he had a license for a gun, escalates to a murder. Miscarriage of justice?